the massive alien ships appeared suddenly at the edge of Earth's solar system. There were 53 of them, each larger than any spacecraft humans had ever built. They moved in perfect formation, their hulls shimmering with strange metals unknown to Earth science. On the bridge of the lead vessel, General Tay stood tall. His exoskeleton gleamed under the lights as he observed the blue planet on the main screen. Forearms crossed over his armored chest while his mandibles clicked thoughtfully. "Magnify," he ordered, his voice translated through the ship's system into sounds his crew could understand. The screen zoomed in on Earth. General Tay had studied this world for months. His intelligence reports were clear: these humans had a dangerous weapon that could threaten the Doran Collective. His mission was simple: secure this weapon before the humans realized its true potential. "Begin broadcast on all Earth frequencies," he commanded. "Make sure their translation systems can interpret our message." In command centers around the world, emergency alerts sounded as the alien signal overrode communications networks. Military bases went on high alert. Civilians looked up at suddenly silent phones and interrupted broadcasts. Inside the United Nations Emergency Council chamber in New York, representatives from major world powers gathered quickly. The large screen at the front of the room flickered to life, revealing General Tay's imposing figure. "People of Earth," the alien began, his words automatically translated. "I am General Tay of the Doran Collective. We have observed your world. We know of your capabilities. We know of your secret." Colonel Jun of the Korean Special Forces leaned forward in his seat. His face remained calm even as his mind raced. What secret? What could these aliens possibly want? "You will surrender your war asset designated as the Beast within 72 Earth hours," continued General Tay. "If you refuse, we will have no choice but to neutralize your planet." Confused looks passed between the representatives. President Kim of the Global Defense Council stood up. "General Tay, we welcome first contact with your civilization, but there seems to be some misunderstanding. We don't know what beast you're referring to." The alien's compound eyes narrowed. 6 faceted surfaces caught the light as he tilted his head. "Your deception is noted but futile. Our scouts observed your warriors with the creature during your northern military exercises. The one that follows commands without question. The one that attacks on demand. The one you call Dog." Silence fell over the council chamber. Dog? The aliens were demanding dogs? "General," Colonel Jun said carefully, "dogs are domesticated animals. They are companions, not weapons." "We have seen your training exercises," General Tay clicked angrily. "We have recorded the beast tearing through your simulated enemies. We have seen how they follow commands, track targets, and neutralize threats. They are clearly biological weapons you have developed." In the back of the room, Dr. Minji from the Xenobiology department whispered to her assistant. "They have no concept of pets. They think dogs are engineered weapons." President Kim tried to keep her voice steady. "General Tay, I assure you there is a cultural misunderstanding. We would be happy to explain." 72 hours, the alien general interrupted. "Surrender the beast technology, or face the consequences." The transmission cut off abruptly. Emergency meetings convened immediately. Military forces worldwide went to DEFCON 2. Space defense systems were activated, though everyone knew they would be useless against technology so advanced. Colonel Jun gathered his team in a secure bunker beneath Seoul. "We need to find the specific dog they saw," he told them. "Whatever gave them this impression could be our only chance to avoid war." Dr. Minji nodded. "I'll review satellite footage of all northern military exercises in the past year. If their scouts were watching, we might spot them." For the next 24 hours, governments worldwide prepared for the worst while Jun's team searched desperately for answers. Civilians weren't told the full truth, only that first contact had been made and negotiations were ongoing. On the alien flagship, General Tay studied more footage of humans with their beasts. The more he watched, the more convinced he became that these creatures were the most dangerous weapons in Earth's arsenal. The way they bonded with their human handlers, the intelligence in their eyes, their physical capabilities, it was unlike any war technology the Doran Collective had encountered. They will surrender the beasts, he told his officers. Or we will be forced to sterilize their world before they perfect this technology and spread it to the stars. The countdown continued as two species, separated by biology and culture, moved closer to a conflict based entirely on a misunderstanding about man's best friend. Colonel June hadn't slept in 36 hours. His eyes burned as he stared at screens showing military exercise footage from the past year. Somewhere in these images was the answer to what the aliens called the beast. We have 36 hours left before their deadline, Dr. Minji reminded him, placing a cup of coffee on his desk. The president needs answers soon. The underground command center buzzed with activity. Analysts combed through satellite data while military leaders prepared defense plans. No one believed Earth's weapons could stop the alien fleet, but they had to try something. I've narrowed it down to 3 northern training operations, said Dr. Minji, pulling up footage on the main screen. Arctic Shield in February, Winter Storm in November, and Frozen Sentinel in January. They watched soldiers moving through snowy landscapes, standard military exercises with nothing unusual showing. Wait, said Colonel June suddenly. Go back to Arctic Shield. Day 4, Morning Patrol. The footage rewound, showing a small team moving along a perimeter. At the front walked a soldier with a large German shepherd on a tactical leash. Staff Sergeant Day and his military working dog, Minji read from the file. The dog's name is Sunny. They watched as the patrol encountered a training scenario. 2 hostiles jumped out from behind snowbanks. Immediately, Sergeant Day gave a command, and Sunny charged forward, taking down one of the mock enemies while the soldiers handled the other. That's it, Colonel June said quietly. That's what they saw. He picked up a secure phone. Find Sergeant Day and his dog. Bring them here immediately. 6 hours later, Staff Sergeant Day arrived at the command center looking confused. Beside him trotted Sunny, alert but calm. The German shepherd's coat was thick and tan with a black saddle. Her ears stood up straight, missing nothing. You wanted to see me, sir? Sergeant Day saluted. Colonel June studied the pair. Sunny sat obediently at her handler's side, watching everyone with intelligent brown eyes. Sergeant, I need you to tell me everything about your dog's capabilities, Colonel June said. Looking puzzled, Sergeant Day explained, Sunny is a 5-year-old German shepherd, trained for patrol, tracking, and apprehension. She can detect explosives and follow commands in both Korean and English. And in the Arctic Shield exercise? She took down a target? Yes, sir. That's standard training. She's taught to disable threats on command. Dr. Minji knelt down to look at Sunny more closely. The dog watched her but didn't move without permission. The aliens have no concept of domesticated animals, she said. Imagine seeing this from their perspective, a creature that follows verbal commands, can track by scent, and attacks on demand. They think dogs are weapons we engineered, Colonel June concluded. Sergeant Day looked shocked. Sunny? A super weapon? She sleeps on my bed and begs for treats. Colonel June showed him footage of General Tay's ultimatum. Sergeant Day's expression changed from confusion to understanding. So these aliens want our dogs? That's what this is about? They want what they call the beast technology, Dr. Minji explained. They don't understand the relationship between humans and dogs. In their eyes, Sunny is a biological weapon you control. President Kim joined them via secure video link. Her face looked tired but determined. Sergeant Day, we need your help. You and Sunny may be our best chance at preventing a war. What do you need me to do, Madam President? We're arranging a meeting with General Tay. We need to show him that Sunny isn't a weapon, she's a companion. A friend. Sergeant Day looked down at his dog, who gazed back with absolute trust. She'll do whatever I ask her to, he said. But I won't put her in danger. The entire planet is in danger, Colonel June reminded him. If we fail to convince them, they'll attack. On the alien flagship, General Tay reviewed more footage of Earth's beasts. He saw dogs guiding blind humans, finding survivors in rubble, and playing with children. These observations confused him. Why would they use war assets for such trivial tasks? He asked Officer Han. Perhaps they're testing different applications, Han suggested. Or disguising their true purpose. General Tay clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. The humans have requested a meeting. They claim they will explain everything about the beast. It could be a trap, warned Han. Perhaps. But I must understand this technology. General Tay's compound eyes reflected the image of Sunny taking down a training target. Prepare a security team. We will meet these humans and their beast. As the deadline approached, both species prepared for a meeting that would determine Earth's fate. Neither fully understood the other, but a simple bond between a man and his dog was about to change interstellar relations forever. The meeting location was chosen carefully, an open field outside Seoul with clear visibility in all directions. Human security forces established a perimeter 2 kilometers away, out of sight but ready to respond. Not that they could do much against alien technology, but it provided some comfort. Sergeant Day stood alone in the center of the field with Sunny sitting calmly beside him. The German shepherd's ears twitched occasionally, monitoring every sound, but she remained perfectly still otherwise. Sergeant Day wore his formal military uniform with no weapons. "Ready, girl," he whispered to Sunny, scratching behind her ears. The dog looked up at him with complete trust in her brown eyes. A low hum filled the air as a small alien craft descended from the clouds. It hovered silently 20 meters above the ground before extending landing gear and touching down on the grass. The craft had no visible windows or doors, yet suddenly a section of the hull simply vanished, creating an opening. General Tay emerged first, his tall form immediately recognizable from the video transmissions. Behind him came 6 armed guards, their weapons held ready but not aimed directly at the humans. The aliens moved with precise, almost mechanical steps. "Remember the plan," Colonel Jun's voice said quietly through the earpiece Sergeant Day wore. "Stay calm, move slowly, explain everything." General Tay stopped 10 meters away. His forearms were positioned in what the xenobiologists believed was a defensive stance. The upper pair held a device that likely translated his speech, while the lower pair remained near what appeared to be weapons. "Human," General Tay's translated voice sounded mechanical. "You have brought the beast as requested." Sergeant Day nodded. "This is Sunny. She's a German shepherd, what we call a dog. She's not a weapon, but my partner and friend." General Tay's compound eyes focused on Sunny, who remained sitting but was now alert, watching the aliens with clear interest. "Our intelligence shows this creature attacking on your command. Explain this deception." "With your permission, I can demonstrate Sunny's training," Sergeant Day offered. "You'll see she's not what you think." General Tay's mandibles clicked rapidly. What the humans had learned was a sign of consideration. "Proceed. But be warned, any aggressive action will result in immediate response." Sergeant Day nodded and turned to Sunny. "Sunny, sit." The dog was already sitting, but she adjusted her position to attention. "Down." Sunny lay down on the grass. "Stay." Sergeant Day walked several paces away. Sunny remained perfectly still. "Come." The dog immediately trotted to his side. General Tay observed silently. One of his officers whispered something in their native language. "You control it with verbal commands," General Tay noted. "This confirms our intelligence." "Yes, she responds to commands, but not because she's a weapon," Sergeant Day explained. "Dogs were originally wild animals that humans domesticated thousands of years ago. Over generations, we formed a partnership. They help us hunt, protect our homes, and provide companionship." General Tay stepped closer, causing his guards to tense. "Show me the attack command." Sergeant Day hesitated but nodded. "I need one of your people to wear protective gear. Sunny is trained to disable but not seriously harm." After some discussion, Officer Han volunteered. He donned what looked like padded armor over one arm. This is training only, Sergeant Day emphasized. Sunny, ready. The dog immediately became alert, muscles tensing. Apprehend. Sergeant Day pointed at Officer Han. Sunny launched forward with impressive speed, grabbing Han's protected arm in her jaws. She didn't bite down with full force but held firmly. Han let out a surprised clicking sound but remained standing. Release, Sergeant Day commanded, and Sunny immediately let go, returning to his side. The aliens chittered among themselves, clearly impressed and perhaps concerned. You see? Sergeant Day said. She follows commands but isn't a mindless weapon. She's intelligent and makes decisions. To demonstrate further, he pulled a ball from his pocket. Sunny, catch. He threw the ball, and Sunny happily chased after it, bringing it back and dropping it at his feet, tail wagging. General Tay watched this display with what seemed like confusion. It performs multiple functions? Both combat and this playful behavior? She's not an it, she's a she, Sergeant Day corrected gently. And yes, dogs are companions first. Some, like Sunny, have special training for military or police work, but all dogs form bonds with humans. General Tay approached cautiously. May I observe closer? Sergeant Day nodded. Sunny, friend, he said, using the command that told her someone was safe. As General Tay came within arm's reach, Sunny sat calmly, watching the alien with curiosity rather than fear. In 10,000 cycles of space exploration, General Tay said quietly, we have never encountered a species that forms such bonds with other creatures. In our world, all relationships are based on dominance or submission. He extended one of his lower arms, hesitating just above Sunny's head. You can pet her, Sergeant Day said. She won't bite. Carefully, General Tay touched Sunny's fur. The dog's tail wagged slightly, and the alien pulled back in surprise before trying again. Remarkable, he said. Perhaps we have much to learn from Earth after all. The invitation to board the alien flagship came 3 days after the field meeting. World leaders debated furiously about the risks, but ultimately agreed it represented the best chance for peaceful relations. Colonel June insisted on joining Sergeant Day and Sunny, along with Dr. Minji, whose understanding of interspecies communication had proven valuable. Are you sure about this? Colonel June asked as they approached the alien shuttle. Once we're on their ship, we're completely at their mercy. Sergeant Day adjusted Sunny's special vest, which contained treats, water, and a few toys. Sunny seems to trust them. That's good enough for me. Your dog's judgment is our diplomatic strategy? Colonel June sighed, but he was smiling slightly. The interior of the shuttle was surprisingly comfortable, with seats that adjusted to human forms. The journey took only minutes before they docked with the massive flagship hanging in orbit above Earth. General Tay personally met them at the airlock. Welcome aboard the luminous journey, he said through his translator. Few Nondarans have ever set foot on our vessels. The corridors were tall and wide, filled with strange smells that made Sunny's nose twitch constantly. Doran crew members stopped to stare as the group passed. Some clicked their mandibles nervously at the sight of Sunny, while others seemed merely curious. Your atmospheric requirements have been accommodated in this section, General Tay explained, leading them to a large room. We have prepared for extended discussions. The room contained both human-style furniture and strange curved platforms that the aliens seemed to prefer. In the center was an open area where Sunny immediately began exploring, sniffing everything. Many of our scientists wish to observe your companion, General Tay said. If permitted. Sergeant Day nodded. Of course. That's why we're here. Soon, the room filled with Doran scientists. They maintained a respectful distance at first, chittering among themselves as Sergeant Day demonstrated basic commands. Sunny performed perfectly, sitting, staying, and retrieving objects on command. A younger Doran stepped forward. His exoskeleton was lighter in color than the others, almost golden. This is Scientist Jean, General Tay introduced. Our leading xenobiologist. Jin's movements were more fluid than the other Dorans, less rigid. "May I approach the dog?" he asked, his translator making his voice sound almost musical. Sergeant Day nodded. "Sonny, friend," he said clearly. Gene knelt down, bringing himself closer to Sonny's level. The dog watched him, head tilted in curiosity. "How does she understand you?" Gene asked. "Is there technology implanted in her brain?" Dr. Minji laughed softly. "No technology. Dogs and humans have co-evolved for thousands of years. They naturally understand our tones, gestures, and some words." Gene extended a hand slowly. Sonny sniffed it, then, to everyone's surprise, licked his fingers. Gene jerked back, then moved forward again, fascinated. "She tasted me?" "It's a greeting," Sergeant Day explained. "It means she likes you." Over the next few hours, the atmosphere in the room gradually changed. The Durans moved closer, asked more questions, and began to interact directly with Sonny. She accepted their attention calmly, occasionally looking to Sergeant Day for reassurance. Gene proved especially interested, even sitting on the floor as Sergeant Day showed him how to play fetch with Sonny. "In our civilization," Gene explained as he threw the ball awkwardly with his upper right arm, "other species are either food, threats, or tools. We have never formed emotional bonds with another species." Colonel June, who had been quiet during most of the exchange, asked, "Is that why you thought dogs were weapons? Because you couldn't imagine another purpose?" General Tay, who had been observing from the side, clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. "We saw intelligence and obedience without understanding the foundation of trust. In our experience, such control comes only through dominance or technology." "Watch this," Sergeant Day said. He moved to the other side of the room and pretended to fall, crying out in pain. Immediately, Sonny rushed to him, whining and checking him with her nose. "She's concerned for your welfare," Gene observed, his translated voice conveying genuine surprise. "She cares." "That's the thing about dogs," Sergeant Day said, petting Sonny reassuringly. "They love unconditionally. We don't deserve them, but they love us anyway." As the demonstration continued, more Durans entered the room. Word had spread throughout the ship about the Earth creature that formed emotional bonds with humans. Even off-duty crew members came to see. One older Doran approached cautiously. His exoskeleton showed signs of battle damage, with scars across one side. "This is Commander Bach," General Tay introduced. "My second in command." Bach studied Sonny with his compound eyes. "In all my cycles of military service, I have seen many weapons. This is no weapon. This is something we have never encountered before." Sergeant Day smiled. "Would you like to pet her?" The tough military commander hesitated, then slowly extended his hand. When Sonny nuzzled against it, the translator couldn't quite capture the sound Bach made, but it seemed like something close to wonder. "Perhaps," General Tay said quietly to Colonel June, "we have much to learn from each other." 6 months after the first contact, a special ceremony took place on neutral ground. The location was a newly built dome structure in Switzerland, designed to accommodate both human and Doran physiologies. Large windows allowed natural light to flood the central chamber, where representatives from both species gathered. General Tay stood tall at the center of the room, his exoskeleton polished to a shine for the occasion. Beside him stood President Kim, who had guided Earth through the initial crisis. Between them sat Sonny, now wearing a special vest that identified her as an interspecies ambassador. "Today marks a new chapter in the history of both our civilizations," President Kim said, her voice carrying through the translator systems. "What began as a misunderstanding has become an opportunity for growth." General Tay stepped forward. His once intimidating presence now seemed almost friendly to the humans who had come to know him. "The Doran Collective came to Earth seeking what we believed was a weapon," he acknowledged. "Instead, we found something far more valuable, a model of cooperation between species that we had never imagined possible." Behind the main delegates, 20 human dog handlers stood with their canine partners. They represented the first group of the Cosmic Companions program, a cultural exchange initiative that would bring dogs to Doran worlds. Scientist Gene, now the head of the new Interspecies Studies Division, approached with a small black Labrador puppy in his upper arms. The puppy wiggled excitedly, trying to lick Jin's face. "This is Star," Jin announced, holding the puppy carefully. "She will be the first dog to live permanently on a Doran vessel." General Tay reached out and gently stroked Star's head. The puppy immediately tried to chew on one of his fingers, causing laughter from the humans and clicking sounds of amusement from the Dorans. "In 6 months, we have learned more about cooperation than in 1,000 years of Doran history," General Tay said. "Our species evolved as solitary hunters who formed groups only for necessity. We never understood the bond that can exist between different species." Sergeant Day, now promoted to captain for his role in the first contact, stepped forward with Sunny at his side. "Dogs teach us patience, loyalty, and unconditional love," he said. "Things that transcend species or origin." The formal treaty signing proceeded with all the proper ceremony. Cameras recorded every moment for broadcast to both Earth and the Doran homeworlds. When it came time for General Tay to sign, Star sat on the table beside the document, sniffing curiously at the pen. "Perhaps the most important lesson," General Tay said as he signed, "is that strength comes in many forms. We came seeking weapons but found something stronger: compassion." After the ceremony, the doors opened to reveal a large garden area where humans and Dorans mingled freely. Several Dorans were learning to throw balls for excited dogs, while others carefully offered treats from their 4 hands. Commander Bach, once the most skeptical of the Doran military leaders, now supervised 3 puppies from the same litter as Star. They tumbled around his feet, occasionally pouncing on his lower limbs. "They have no fear," he remarked to Captain Day. "They trust completely." "That's what makes them special," Captain Day replied. "They see the best in us." Dr. Minji joined them, carrying data from the first studies of dog-Doran interactions. "The biochemical responses are fascinating," she explained. "Dorans produce hormones similar to our oxytocin when interacting with dogs. It's a universal response." Across the garden, General Tay knelt beside Star, who was now wearing a special collar with his command insignia. The puppy leaned against his leg, completely comfortable with the alien being. "In our long history of exploration," he said quietly to President Kim, "we have encountered many species. Some became allies, others enemies. But never before have we found a species that could help us understand ourselves better." President Kim smiled. "Dogs have been doing that for humans for thousands of years. Now they're doing it for the galaxy." 1 year later, the first Doran ship with a permanent canine crew returned to Earth for evaluation. The Dorans aboard had changed, they moved more fluidly, communicated more openly, and showed emotional responses that had been rare in their species. General Tay, now Ambassador Tay, stepped off the ship with Star walking proudly beside him. The Labrador had grown into a beautiful dog who stayed close to her Doran companion. "She sleeps at the foot of my rest chamber," Tay told Captain Day. "Every morning, she greets me with what you call kisses. This simple gesture has changed how I view each day." As the sun set over the new Interspecies Command Center, humans and Dorans watched their dogs play together in the grass. What had begun with a threat of war had transformed into something neither species could have imagined, a friendship that bridged the stars, all because of a sweet puppy who was mistaken for a beast.